We thank you for the many freedoms that we are able to enjoy as American citizens, and we'll never forget those who fought before us to give us these freedoms. And we ask that you be with the many men and women overseas, keeping them safe as they continue to defend this great country. We ask that you be with those who may be struggling with personal issues as we go into this Christmas season. It's a joyous time for most, but there are those out there who have personal struggles, and we ask that you be with them and comfort them throughout this season. We ask that you be with the many first responders, law enforcement, EMS, and fire personnel who keep us safe. And we ask that you be with each and every one of us as we go through this meeting and give the commissioners the wisdom to make the right decisions. And that we ask that you be with each and every one as we depart and go home and go our separate ways. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen. This time I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll call to order the Tuesday, December 10th, 2019 meeting of the Hart County Board of Commissioners. I'd like to welcome everyone here. First item of business tonight will be to approve the agenda. I do know we have some additions. I know we've got an executive session for litigation.
We have the executive session litigation, and also on the new business, add the Reach Across America. People
Thank you for reminding that. Thank
wants to use the courthouse long. So we'll add that
there was
on.
another one. Reach Across America.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I have a motion by Commissioner Teasley to approve the agenda as amended. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Carter. Any more discussion? Public comment on the agenda? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Next item on the agenda is approved minutes of the previous meetings. You've got the November 12th meeting minutes. We'll do these individually. Could I get a motion that we approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve 11, 12, 19 minutes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Teasley. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Sayer. Any more discussion? Public comment on these minutes? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Now we'll take the November 27th call meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Carter, second by Commissioner Teasley. Any more discussion? Public comment on these minutes? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Last one is the December 5th called meeting minutes. Can I get a motion that we approve?
I'll make a motion we approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sayer. Second by Commissioner Carter. Any more discussion? Public comment on these? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 3-0. Commissioner Teasley abstained. He just had a conflict that we knew about when we had the meeting, as I stated during that meeting. Now we move into remarks by invited guests, committees, and authorities. This is a great time tonight. We're going to recognize some folks. We want to start with the 9 and under youth football. We want to start with the cheerleaders. We're going to let the ladies go first. So we wanted to recognize these young ladies and their support of these young men. So here we have our 9 and under youth football cheerleaders who supported the guys who won the football Super Bowl. I know a lot of parents here. Let's give these young ladies a hand. We want to congratulate you and thank you all for being here. Okay.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Now we're going to introduce the football team, the players themselves. We're going to let them come in, let everybody see them, see who they are. These kids did a great job.
Sure did.
Scored a lot of points, didn't have any competition. And we've got the coaches coming in too. So great year for these kids, great program, great results. Can't say enough about what's going on with our youth football program, and as well as our school programs as well. Everything's looking up in Hart County, and we want to give these guys and the coaches a hand because it takes a lot of time to coach, I'll tell you that. Congratulations. Anybody want any more photos? If you can, feel free to go ahead and get them. Okay, we appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah.
I really do. Thank y'all for what you did for Hart County.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Amen. Future program there. Clears around that night. What they're asking us.
Okay, we'll move on. Next thing we want to do tonight is we want to recognize a gentleman who has been a key player in our economic development efforts throughout the years. Back in the early or late 90s, the Board of Commissioners had a wisdom and a vision to look at buying land and developing an industrial park. We couldn't do it all ourselves. Some of us have been here during that time, various tenures on the board, but there's one individual in a neighboring town who has been a key member of our economic development efforts, and that's Mayor Ralph Owens of Livonia. We want to present him with a plaque tonight. Mayor, if you'll come forward. I want to ask the commissioners to come down as well as the Industrial Building Authority members. We'll get you guys here. Part of this, dude. But I'm going to read this plaque. The Hart County Board of Commissioners hereby presents this plaque to Mayor Ralph Owens in appreciation for your generous support, vision, and partnership in our joint economic development efforts at the Gateway Industrial Parks. Without the support of the City of Livonia under your leadership as mayor, the growth and development that has occurred at the industrial parks would not be possible. December 10, 2019.
Well, I want to tell you I appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
Y'all had the water, we had a way to treat it. We didn't have the water, so we kind of switched out there. It worked out good, and I think things will still work.
Oh, yeah.
Down the road, okay? I'm just glad I could do that.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to some more invited guests, and this time I'd like to recognize Miss Anna Strickland with Archway. Got a presentation I think we're going to walk through, or update.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Board, for having us tonight. We do have some visitors in the room. We have some University of Georgia students and faculty, Dr. Stephen Durham and his team. The students may be new to our community, but Dr. Stephen Durham certainly is not. He's worked with several Archway communities, including Hart County, throughout the years. I know y'all are aware of this, but just as a refresher, the College of Engineering, through their senior capstone class, completed 4 projects in our community last school year, and that's a year-long commitment by these students. No pressure, it's for their final grade before they get out. But really, they've been outstanding to work with. So, why are we here tonight? Like I said, this is a year-long project. So the purpose of tonight's presentation is just a midpoint check-in. They're going to present a few concepts to you, and you're going to give them direction on how to proceed for that final presentation in April, May. So that's how that process works. And with that, this is a learning opportunity for them. I know when we talk about Archway, certainly the community has a lot of deliverables to help you as tools to make decisions. But on the flip side, what's really excellent, these students have the opportunity to have some real-world learning experiences, and y'all are part of that. So even if you're an LSU fan, for instance, and you can still support our Bulldogs students. But without further ado, I'd like to have the team come up, and this is the best and the brightest at UGA, and I know you'll join me in supporting them.
Thank you.
I think it's in the Microsoft Edge one. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Stephon Jean, and these are my team members, Taylor Stein and Johan Hugh. And as Ms. Strickland mentioned before, we are civil and environmental engineering students from the University of Georgia, here to present our findings for a potential jail to be designed here in Hart County. So it is our understanding that the current jail here in Hart County is no longer up to code, and the jail is currently at maximum capacity, and there's no feasible way to bring the building up to code or any way to expand the existing structure. Due to these capacity issues, we understand that the county has to pay to house their inmates, all the new inmates that they acquire, to house them in other counties. Excuse me, to house them in other counties. And as you can see below, or on the screen, just in 2018 it cost the county $160,000, and back in 2017 it cost the county $245,000. So for this reason, we've been tasked with developing a site design for a new facility that could house between 150 and 250 inmates, keeping in mind the possibility for future expansion, just in case the county themselves want to welcome inmates from other counties as a source of revenue. So this semester, we've conducted a feasibility study, as well as developed a few conceptual designs of the jail, which we'll show you in just a second. So after visiting the 3 sites and analyzing all 3, we decided to not move forward with one of the sites, which is an old elementary school located off of Airline School Road. The reason why we decided not to move forward with this site is because there are a bunch of residential properties in the area, and the last thing we want to do is recommend a jail to be constructed in an area that could lower the property value of all the homes. So for that reason, we decided to focus our efforts on the other 2 sites, the first one being the old Nancy Hart Elementary School, and the second one being a property adjacent to the Whitworth's Women's Facility. And now Taylor will take you through the first design for the Whitworth's Women's Facility.
Yeah, so like Stephon said, the first site that we have to present to you guys today is adjacent to the Whitworth Women's Facility. For those of you who don't necessarily know where that is, it's over there by Valley Park Road. Some of the pros about putting the jail over at this site is that there's county water and sewer already there, so all we would have to do is actually make the connections, and we wouldn't have to set anything new up. And also, you can see we've got the aerial view right there of the site. There are no existing structures, so the demolition costs are going to be low, so when you're doing construction, that's obviously going to help with the cost a little bit. Some of the cons are that we're limited to space. Like we said, there's the women's facilities over there, but there's also the fire training facility, as well as I think the Hart County Roads Department is over there as well. So there's a lot of other kind of municipalities running their business over there. However, we were talking to Terrell. He was nice enough to come with us on the site visit, and it would be a kind of an ideal idea to use this as like a hub for different municipalities. So after constructing the job there, if there's another office with kind of a similar function that needs to get built, this could be built there. And we take that into consideration for our designs. So you go to the next slide. So here's kind of our first concept design. For those of you who can't see it too well, don't worry, we have another bigger on the next slide. We also have some copies over there of the actual layout of the design. But one of the things that we took into consideration and we think is positive about this layout is that, as you can see over there towards the west end of the plot, there is a lot of space for more development, future development. Like we said, we can use this as a place to be a hub for different municipalities. We also minimize the roads that we're adding to the actual structure. Again, that just helps a lot of costs. With it being taxpayer money that this would go towards, you want to be as thoughtful in that as you can. And then some of the cons, though, are you can see the jail is kind of laid out. It's kind of smushed together. That, of course, was to optimize the space in the area. And then one of the issues with it being laid out like that is that we're calling it the existing housing because the plan is for there to be enough space to eventually build future expansion housing on the jail. So we wouldn't run into the issue that we are now with the overpopulation of the facilities. So it's just those two buildings are connected to each other, like you can see there. You can see there's ample fencing that's required to have around most buildings like this. And those are centered around a support building. That's where the sheriff's office is going to be. That's where hearing rooms and visitation rooms are going to be, as well as kitchens and other facilities that would be used to ensure that the inmates are living to their standards. So here's the second concept design. As you can see, some of the pros about this one is that there is a more linear layout. That makes it easy to expand that future housing onto that existing housing, just connected in that way, as well as it's a more simple road system, although it might be a little more. It's meant to expedite any vehicles that are coming in to make deliveries and help the visitors, and it's designed to be one way to kind of ensure that there's no confusion going two lanes, kind of just a one entrance, one exit road traffic system. If you go to the next one, you can kind of see how it's more laid out. As you can see up there more north, there's an entrance that would lead to the visitors parking lot. One of the cons about this layout is that, like we said, we would like to, if we do choose here for where to put the jail, this kind of tightens your space a little bit for where you have to work to put future buildings in. But we still tried to keep into account that we wanted to expand with more future buildings, so that's why you can still see there's two areas with a little less space than before, but we still think it would be feasible to put more buildings there.
So this is the existing building, existing conditions for the Site 2. As you can see, the old elementary school is not in a good condition to build a jail of it. We're concerning it will not meet the current jail standards and building codes, so we suggest to demolish the whole building to build a new jail. And nearby the school building, there's an old gym. We're planning on to turn it into a warehouse for the future jail. As you can see, there are some utility poles and trees around the building. We might have to remove some of them so the heavy equipment can operate on the land. The pros about this site is that it has county water, and the land is relatively flat, which requires less grading. And the area is 8 acres, which is adequate to build parking lots, a correctional facility, and other buildings as well. And the cons about this site is that it has a demolition cost associated with it, and there's no county sewer on the site. So, can you move on? Okay. So to solve no county sewer problem, we are planning on to place a septic tank under the recreational area, which is the green shape under the recreational area. And construct a septic tank can be considered as an advantage because it will solve no sewer problem. But on the other hand, it can also be a disadvantage because tank will need to pump out sludge once every 2 years, which costs more money to do that. And adjacent to the recreational area, we have the inmate housing, which can hold about 150 beds. And on the right side of the inmate housing, we have a future expansion in case if the inmate numbers exceed the capacity. And on the left side of the inmate housing, we have a support building, which will be composed of sheriff office, a hearing room, and a on-site kitchen as well. And the driving sally port will be extended from the support building. And on the yellow area is the loading area where the truck can come in, load and unload food and equipment. As I mentioned before, we also have a warehouse to store extra equipment and files as well on the site. And there are plenty parking space around the building. Total 59 spots for the staff parking, 55 for the public parking, and 9 for the impound parking. And on top of that, we have 2 entrances and 2 exits to the site, so which will help ease the traffic during the peak time of visiting.
So to ensure the safety and proper operation of the site, we researched a few codes and guidelines that should be followed during the design and construction of the jail, 2 of which being the Code of Ordinances for Hart County and the City of Hartwell. Another one being the pavement design manual from the Department of Transportation in case we need to construct any new roads. And then we also have the Georgia Stormwater Management Manual, as well as the International Building Code and the Manual for Erosion and Sediment Control. And then these are just some authorities that will have jurisdiction over the site, all of them being your local Hart County entities. Want us to look at those for a second. So after a site has been selected based off of the feedback from the board here, we'll move forward and survey the site so we can get more accurate data for a hydrological analysis, as well as to see how much of the site needs to be graded and how much that will cost. So for the hydrological analysis, it's pretty much just determining the amount of rainfall that our site will experience and how to control that rainfall for our stormwater management plans. Although there's no extreme measures that need to be taken as of yet, to our best knowledge, a stormwater retention pond may be needed to be constructed on the site. And then another thing that we have to do is an erosion control plan. This kind of ties in with the hydrological analysis because erosion, comes from water washing away sediment particles, and that could be that really influences the degradation of the soil, and it could affect it can affect the structure of the jail. It can affect the pavement as well of all the roadways leading to the property, and it contributes to water pollution. So we'll create temporary control measures that should be followed during the construction of the jail, and then we will also create permanent control measures that should be implemented after the construction of the jail is complete.
So in order to begin the construction, a site must be graded. So this is to ensure that construction can take place on level footing, and grading includes excavation of any trees or the debris present on the site. And the cost of the grading will vary depending on the chosen site. Okay. So a utility plan is also required for any functioning building. They include mechanical system, electrical system, pumping system. They are often referred as MEP. The 3 systems are included in the utility plan in order to connect to the county water, sewer, and electric line.
So like we said, nothing's free, so we wanted to give you guys kind of we want to give you kind of an idea on what the project was going to cost. Obviously, we're still in the site selection process, and like Johan was saying, in the grading, depending on the site you pick, you might need to grade a little more in one area. You might need to demolish more buildings in another area, or like if a certain area has more rainfall than another, and the slopes line up the wrong way, or whatever it might be, you might need to put in a stormwater detention pond. All those things can increase or decrease the price, and it can fluctuate, but we try to be as conservative as possible when giving you guys an estimate. Based on some models that we looked for what a typical building might be as far as square footage and all that for the beds that are required, we came up with a building cost of about $5.5 million. And the rest of that, we were able to formulate rough guesses from the International Building Code. There's a table in there that kind of gives you an idea of a percentage based off of your construction costs as far as like materials will go, as far as labor will go, and you can see all that under the construction. And then the second section down there is just kind of the design of what an architect and the different kinds of engineers you would need to actually construct a building would cost you. And all that runs to about a grand total of $11.3 million, just a tad over.
And our given budget was $15 million, so we're much below that, far below that. And lastly, we would like to thank the board for inviting us here, as well as Ms. Strickland and our instructor, Dr. Durham. They really helped us out with this project a lot throughout this semester. And we also want to thank Mr. Partain for attending our site visit with us and helping us and giving us more information for our project scope. And we look forward to working with you all closer in the spring of 2020. And we'll welcome any questions, suggestions, and anything that you guys would like to discuss.
Go ahead.
Questions? And, you know, board, this decision about which concept, which site to go with certainly doesn't need to be made tonight. You know, if you want to review the materials and reach back out to me so that I can communicate your decision to the students, that will be fine as well. However you wish to proceed right now, it's totally up to you.
I would give a real-world lesson. Okay. Your budget's been cut to $8 million, so let's see what we can do there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Wonderful.
So just something to put it into perspective. You know, 8 to 9 million is kind of what we had talked about, but it happens. It's a real life problem. So just kind of give you something to work toward, to think about as you move forward with it. So.
Also, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead.
With talking with our sheriff in the past, he had mentioned using like a hub design to build on, you know, later on instead of the conventional square type. Is that a more cost involvement there? And the reason for that is you can, with less guards for more prisoners. And I don't know if that would have a reflection on your site plan and cost, but that was one of the issues that he had brought before us also.
You know, like what, having like a control room and then some
All
pods.
around, right.
Pods coming off of that,
Yeah.
like a wagon wheel, so to speak.
Yeah, we had looked at, I believe we have like PDF copies of that design building, and what we did for the site planning was take like the square footage and keeping that in mind, although it might not look like we have it has a different kind of shape to it that you're talking about. It might not be necessarily showcased in the site design there, but the square footage and everything is accounted for. So that's just the general, we're just getting the general layout, and that's typically what those buildings would look like. So we took that into consideration.
Very good.
You know, out there, like where the women's facility is, you know, you also, like you said, I know you got city water, city gas, and you also got access to city sewage there. Yeah.
There are no further questions. Thank you for this opportunity and for the words of
You ain't gonna
advice.
get out here without me asking a question.
Oh, come on. Come on.
What about the kitchen area? I don't see that on here. Do y'all have that figured in there?
Yeah, it's within the support building.
Okay, I want to make sure.
We're going to make sure they're fed.
Yeah.
Promise.
Okay, any other questions?
If I could speak just a second, I really appreciate y'all guys coming in, Anna coming in. Again, we went out with them, I went out with them and we showed them the boundaries. This is as much as we've got. Their process is to come up with some concept and bring back y'all as they're done, get y'all's comment. They'll go back to the drawing board and they'll keep redefining once they know what y'all want. all they've heard so far is from me. This is good for them to hear from the decision makers, to give them a little more alignment on how to finish up the project. But I certainly appreciate all the participation.
Well, one of the things I would like to see on the site is room to grow. Room to grow.
Correct.
Don't put
And then
ourselves
that
in a
was kind of in the
position-
general description I give them. We need this many beds right now, but we need to be able to expand to almost double the capacity. And
Maybe
again,
even more
under
than
the
that,
same
who knows?
roof would be higher initial cost, less cost down the road.
Isn't it cheaper, is it cheaper to build like, I know I saw a thing on there like 150 beds versus 200 beds? Wouldn't it be just as cheap to build like 200 beds instead of stopping it at 50?
There's often a cost associated with the overhead, right? So, whenever you start a project, you end the project, you start a new project, there's always going to be those additional costs associated with the management of the actual construction of that project that you're paying for, that you would not necessarily be paying that additional extra cost had it been done in the first place. So there are some of those additional costs. The actual direct cost is probably be the same as those indirect costs that you're probably adding.
Another thing you need to look at too is utilities. If you got a building capable of holding 200 people and you ain't got 75 in it, you still heating and cooling that entire area for no reason. So that would add greatly to your energy cost.
But yeah, it's something for us to think about. But we'll go back to the drawing board and share any new findings with Ms. Strickland that she can share with you.
We appreciate y'all coming.
We thank y'all for your
Thank y'all.
time.
Thank you, and if I could just have a microphone for just a moment. Word is starting to get around, and I wanted to have the opportunity to try to thank as many people in person, so I'm going to use your platform for a moment if you don't mind. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, baby.
I want to say thank you to everyone in Hart County. I'm very excited. It probably doesn't look like it, but I assure you I'm very excited to take an opportunity to work and serve my community where we live in Madison County as the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce. And I assure you I'm very excited about this. But I can't tell you how much Archway means to me, the University of Georgia means to me, and how much you all mean to me. I've learned so much from you, and I feel like this is one of the greatest blessings of my life to have the opportunity to serve this community. So I want to thank you for the bottom of my heart, and I do look forward to hearing about all the wonderful accomplishments in the future. I will keep up with everybody. We're not too far apart. But like I said, I don't want to be a stranger, but I do want to thank you for, it'll be 3 years, so thank you for 3 years with me, but, almost 12, 13 with Archway. So thank you.
Well, we thank you
We
also.
thank you too, Anna.
And,
You did a
I
great job.
wish you well in your new position.
Thank you.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to reports by constitutional officers and department heads. Mr. Gordon.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that my matters will be covered in executive session.
Okay. County Administrator's report.
Just a couple of things. We just found out today, because we delivered the equipment for the second phase of the playground, that installation will start tomorrow, weather permitting. They are there too early, so there's nothing wrong with that, but they'll start tomorrow. And again, I want to give my thanks to Anna. Me and her was kind of both new at the same time, and she's been a great partner, and nothing we've ever asked for that she didn't provide, and I really appreciate it. And I wish her all the love for her. That's all I have.
Yeah, I'm going to echo those same words. She's been a staple here in Hart County and done a great job. And I think the whole board feels that way. No negative comments whatsoever. We appreciate you. We'll be in touch. Just a few miles down the road.
That's
right. You go to Royston, Hart County, Franklin, Madison, all come together there. So
You know where.
that's right. Okay, Moving on to Chairman's report, we'll start with the November financial report first. Got quite a few things to cover. While Terrell's pulling this up, just a reminder, property taxes are due December the 20th, just a little over a week away. And that's going to be a key driver in our financial dashboard.
Sorry about this, I ain't got used to this computer.
That's okay. So while I was pulling that up, when this comes up, you're going to see some red, yellow, green. Red obviously being outside of the target, green meeting or exceeding the target. Yellow is going to be plus or minus 3% of the target. So, looking at our actual revenues for the month of November, we came in green at $1,390,520. Actual expenses were $924,985. Under budget as well. Had a delta there significantly that's starting out the month great, or year great. That delta is $465,534. That will drop as we go forward into the fiscal year. With property taxes being due in December, we should see a huge increase in revenue in the month of December. Looking at our key revenue drivers, real property taxes, target's $470,000. We exceeded that significantly. Again, that goes back to property taxes being due. LOST, pretty sharp decline over the previous months, down to $218,113 against a target of $188,000. EMS fees, target was $95,800. It came in at $76,108. That fluctuates, depends on call volume and how these calls fall. And then the vehicle title fee is $62,000 is a target. Did you find out why we
Yeah,
didn't get?
well, it's the auditors are working on the paper,
Okay.
and all these taxes run a month. Collections run a month behind. So hopefully by the next meeting, they'll have it flipped around here and we get the accurate numbers in there.
Okay.
For that.
But the vehicle title fee, the TAVA, $109,494. People still buying a lot of cars. So far, we're looking good financially. Early on, but still got a long way to go. Couple things I want to mention. Council member Tony Haney, for those of you who may not know, he and his wife were involved in an accident on Saturday and sustained some injuries. Thoughts and prayers go out to Tony and his wife as they recover. Talked about property taxes being due. One thing we need to talk about is a board. We've had some requests by the tax commissioner. There's been some discussions by the Chamber of Commerce, the IBA. We need to sit down at the beginning of the year and look at our long-range space needs. So I'd ask that everybody put that on your calendar. I'd like to do that sometime in January so we can start looking at long-term plans, January, February time frame. And then, as I said earlier in the prayer, this is the Christmas season. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Remember those who may have struggles, whatever the case may be. Some people have issues during this time, and just want to remember those as well. With that being said, that's all I've got under Chairman's report, Commissioner's report, District 1, District 2.
Good luck to you, Anna. Enjoyed working with you. Look forward to seeing you somewhere down the road. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and that's all I got.
Okay, District 3.
I also would like to thank Anna and her leadership here in Hart County. It has been tremendous. There's a lot of people learned things from you also. I hope the things that you learned from us were good things, but we appreciate all that you have done for Hart County. And speaking of people that do things for Hart County, I'd also like to, the tree lighting ceremony and the parade, I'd like to commend the Chamber of Commerce, Hartwell DDA, all these guys. They done an excellent job. loading up for parade this year, it was so organized. It went by like a breeze, and I just like to tell them I appreciate the job they done.
And I'd like to echo the same thing, Marshall.
That'd be all right, Commissioner Teasley. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
District 4.
Yeah, I want to say the same thing now. We appreciate you being here. We learned a lot from you, as you know that, and I can't figure out yet what you learned from us, but maybe you did. But enjoyed working with you on some of the times that I did. You were really professional, real nice, and I wish you well in your new venture. And I really do mean that. I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas when your friends sitting there with you. Hope your family has a Merry Christmas. I enjoyed the parade too. It went pretty nice. I'm going to echo what Commissioner Sayre said about that. And I want to tell the board also that each one of y'all a Merry Christmas. And I'm going to invite Brooks Mubin from the College and Career Academy, and hopefully some of the board of directors here, hopefully in January, but it'll be up to their schedule, to let us know what's going on down there. There's a lot of stuff going on down there that I've been reading about, and I'd like to find out about it. Now I'm going to tell you something that happened to me Friday. I went up to the tax office to get me some tags. And that was pretty close to a nightmare. I went up there early on. They said, well, the computer's down, the software ain't working, can't do nothing. So we called back later, and I said, you got it up yet? And they said, well, right now it's working. So we went in there, and it took them a pretty fair time to get that up and go. And they had to click 7 times to make it print. And there was other people in there going through the same thing that I was. So I got to see firsthand the problem that our tax commissioner has been saying they've been having with a new software program. Also, I guess y'all got the same email I did. We got an email from the Secretary of State that we might need to put this on our website. It's called the SecureVoteGeorgia.com to start training people. Have y'all got this?
I'll have to check again, I'm not sure.
Well, here you go. You can have that right there, but we probably need to put that on our website and get people learning how to vote on the new equipment as soon as possible, and that sort of gives you an explanation. I just assume y'all got it, but
I have.
Did you get it? You didn't get it?
I haven't.
Get it then.
I don't know, but I'll be sure Paul gets it. Gets that link put on.
Okay. All right, so I just want to carry that on. And again, I wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas. Hope all your families do well over the holidays. We'll see you next year. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I got all tied up in that. I forgot to wish all y'all Merry Christmas also. And each commissioner, colleagues, staff, Mr. Gordon, Terrell, Juana, all these guys, they do a tremendous job here in this county, and I'd like to wish all these guys a Merry Christmas also.
Okay, moving on to old business, item 12. First item is Recreation Advisory Board appointments. Do you have the minutes where they have to make the recommendation?
They did. If they're not in here, I do have the minutes, and they did make the recommendations, and a vote was made on them.
Okay.
I must not have got them to Gene before I left to get them in the packet.
Well, there's 4
But that-
appointments and 4 applications.
So the
But
4
they was all recommended by the board.
Can I make a motion to do all 4 of them,
can.
to appoint all 4 of these to the rec advisory?
I'll
Okay.
give you a second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Sayre and a second by Commissioner Carter to appoint these 4. I just want to name them just so everybody knows. Kay Anchorage, Bob Fry, Jeff Metz, and Lonnie Robinson. Those were the 4. So have a motion by Commissioner Sayre and a second by Commissioner Carter to appoint these individuals to the Recreation Advisory Board as recommended by the Advisory Board. Any more discussion?
I got one thing I'd like to say. And this is going to cover all boards. I'll just go ahead and say it this time. I appreciate people putting their name in the pot to serve on these boards. It's not like people knocking the doors down to do it, and I really appreciate you doing it. It's very important for people to serve on our boards and authority, and I'd like to thank them all. Whether you get the job or not, we appreciate you putting your name in the pot. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Public comment? Not all? Yes, Mr. Nolan.
I'm George Nolan. For those of you who don't know, I've got something some open business that we'd
We're
like to
talking
close.
about board appointments.
No. Oh,
Okay.
sorry. I jumped the gun, didn't I? Sorry.
Okay. Anybody for public comment on this issue? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Next item on the agenda is Board of Tax Assessors appointments. We have 3 applicants. We have one incumbent, Mr. David Setchell, who has applied to be reappointed. I'm going to make a motion that we reappoint him.
I'll second.
One term. Have a motion by Chairman Dorsey and a second by Commissioner Teasley. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. We have 2 applicants for the remaining position, Amanda Brown and Joyce Kilpatrick. And the second call meeting, we will have an interview of these candidates tonight, and then we'll make another appointment later on, hopefully tonight. So we'll move on down to item 12C, Chestatee, Chattahoochee, RDC board appointments. We've got 2.
All right, Commissioner.
Bill Chafin.
Bill Chafin has turned in his request to go to remain on this board,
Right.
and we do have an empty spot on this board that we haven't had filled in a while.
Okay. Let's go ahead and, if everybody's okay, I'll make a motion that we appoint Mr. Bill Chafin to the
I'll give you a
Chestatee,
second.
Chattahoochee, RDC.
I'll give you a second.
All right, I have a motion by Chairman Dorsey, second by Commissioner Carter. Any more discussion? Public comment? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. So we'll leave that position open, and then when we advertise in January, just put it out there again.
Okay, all right.
The next one is item 12D, Avita board appointments. We have one unexpired term that actually goes through June 30th, 2021. And we do have an applicant there as well.
I'll make the motion.
Uh, Alice Worthen. Have a motion by Commissioner Carter to appoint Miss Alice Worthen.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Sayer. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Item 12E, jail food bid award. We actually had a call meeting last week to open these bids so that we could start getting them processed and have a recommendation, but I don't think we're ready to make a recommendation.
No, I spoke with the low bidder today and explained what we was doing. This contract, I pulled the contract out, and I should have done that last week, but I was out of town. I went over the contract, and it has been updated since 2007 or 8. So I told him we'd like to take a little time to look over that contract, let Walter look at it, and see what, just to bring it up to the 2020 verbiage needs to be in it. So he understands that, and we'll have a call meeting before the end of the year and make the actual appointment once Walter's had time to look over the contract.
And you'll have your cost analysis done?
Correct.
Before we make
Correct.
that
Yeah,
decision?
we were looking at us furnishing, us doing it ourselves in-house
Just
versus the cost of
so everybody's
contract.
aware, we're looking at it from both sides, so. All right, I'm going to ask, we get a motion to table that.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Carter. Second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Teasley. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Do you think you'll be ready for a call meeting on this?
Hopefully we can before the end of the year. I'll just have to see how much information I can pull in, how much goes, and what time Walter needs. I'd rather Walter go over that contract than me, just to be honest.
I'd kind of like that to be a priority, because the sooner we can get this done, it's going to save us money.
And again, talking to the bidders, they would love 2 weeks jump to get their supplies ordered and in to maintain the prices they quoted us. So I'll get it as quick as we can.
Okay.
Let me ask the question. If they gonna have 2 weeks, it's gonna be after the first year before anybody can get started if we made that decision pretty much today with it.
That's why we're trying to make it tonight, so they can
Yeah,
get started.
we again, and I apologize, I was out of town last week, so I didn't get to start working on this yesterday, and we played phone tag with a couple of bidders, and I finally got to talk to them this morning. I want them to sit down with the jail administration and everybody get on the same page and be sure everybody understands what they're signing, first off, and then that what they're signing is the verbiage and the requirements in it up to date.
I agree.
Yeah, we tried to get this expedited by having a call meeting, get the bids open last week, so.
Yeah.
But just
Again,
running
there's
some
more
issues,
people
so.
than me involved in this. I can make it, we can make a decision, but the jail has got to live with it, so I want everybody on the same page. But yeah, I'll try to have it, if not by the end of this week, the first of the next week.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is item 12F. Typically, what we do every year is we cancel the second meeting in December. Our second meeting was scheduled to be Christmas Eve, 12/24/2019. Can I get a motion that we
I'll make
cancel?
that motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Sayer, second by Commissioner Teasley. Any more discussion? Public comment? I doubt we'd have a quorum if we had one. So, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. We'll move into new business. First item here will be beer and wine license renewal, Class A, which will be our on-premise restaurant. You got Tilly's Tiki Bar and Grill, Hartwell Golf Club, Boathouse Grill, Matiera Mexican Restaurant. Those are our 4 Class A, and everything's in order.
Everything's in order, correct.
Can I get a motion that we approve those?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Teasley, second by Commissioner Carter. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Again? Yay. Motion carried unanimously. Next item on the agenda is item 13B, beer and wine license renewal for Class B, package off-premise consumption, Royal Foods number 4, Royal Foods number 8742, 29 Royal Food Store, Vanna Country Store, Mini Mart at Dewey Rose, Nesmeen LLC, ABC Grocery Stores doing business as Airline Store. All in order.
All in order.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Have a motion by Commissioner Sayer, second by
Give you a second.
Commissioner Carter. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Next item is approval of an AFG application and matching funds for EMS stretcher system.
Yes, sir. We had this yearly stretcher maintenance and check off by the manufacturer this last month and a half ago. Out of 12 stretchers, we have 6 that they highly recommend us replacing. And those stretchers are about $15,000 to $18,000 a piece. But they also informed us about this available grant through the fire side of the world, and they have had success in other places helping with the application to obtain these. Their recommendation is, and our workman's comp folks' recommendation is to go with a self-rising stretcher that's battery powered, and also a self-loading stretcher that actually picks it up and picks it up level with the truck where you slide in. My supervisors has worked on this. I've done a little work on it, not much at all. But it works out, and they've got the price, and you've got it in your package. And it works out to the numbers wise if we apply and get the grant. That's the first thing. We got to get the grant. But it's a 90-10 grant. Our 10% match to the grant. For the whole system, it's a little over $500,000 to do all the amps. We have 8 amps. So our portion of that would be $50,000.
864.
Yeah, 5864.42. So what I'm asking is you'll give us the authority to apply for the grant. Plus, I can tell you where we'll get the $50,000 from. We've got a workman's comp refund a year or so back. We've got notification. We're going to get another one. We don't know how much that is, but we believe combined those will be in excess of $50,000. So the match money, if we do get the grant, we'll be sitting there ready to pay.
I'll make a motion you apply for the grant.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Sayer, second by Commissioner Teasley. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I got questions. It says right here, 8-year service on top of a 2-year warranty,
Correct.
giving us a total of 10 years. That cost $145,600.
Correct. It's amazing what this stuff costs. And again, I failed to mention that, but I'm glad you brought it up. This guarantees us everything for 10 years after. That's the first 2 years of maintenance on everything, and 8 more years of service maintenance where they replace everything it needs it as it wears. It needs replacing, they replace it.
That's anything goes wrong.
Anything goes wrong, correct, for 10 years.
Okay, now, is this gonna have an effect on the fire department being able to do an AFG grant?
I wouldn't think so. We're coming on a different, it comes down, you got EMS side of that, and you got fire side of that, so this is on the EMS side.
I know that last year they was unsuccessful, so GMRC will write them another grant free of charge for that same thing that they
Right.
want to do.
Oh, yeah, I would urge them to reapply for that grant, because like I say, these come from two different funding streams down from the feds. One's just strictly for EMS side of the fire service, and the other's for fire service.
I wasn't sure about that, so I just wanted to ask.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Sayer and a second by Commissioner Teasley. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Next item on the agenda is request for the Georgia Department of Transportation to conduct traffic studies, primarily safety studies for the intersection of Cokesbury Highway and Nancy Hart School Road and Elberton Highway and Nancy Hart School Road. Could I get a motion that we send a letter requesting that from GDOT?
I make that motion.
A motion by
I'll give you a
Commissioner Teasley, a second by Commissioner Carter.
Is there a specific purpose for us doing that?
Safety, traffic accidents.
Safety, we've had a good many accidents there. Fortunately, we haven't had that many fatalities, but we've had a lot of accidents there. Just to get them to take a look and see if there's something they can do or we can do to make it a little safer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. While we're talking about that, God, I can't think of the name of the road now.
It don't get no better.
I was thinking about Sarah
Liberty
John.
Hill Road, Liberty Hill Church Road. Those power poles on the left, is there any way we need to find out if that's EMC or Georgia Power?
I'm pretty sure it's EMC, but I'll double check and see.
Yeah, Bill was here, should have asked him.
Yeah, well, that reason I looked to see if he was still out there.
That creates a blind spot.
Yeah, just in a certain spot there, if you
Yes.
stop at just the right place, it does.
Yes.
And another one where they've been a lot of some accidents is right there where you go down by Bio Church Road, right across from the, there've been several wrecks right there. It's also another
We've had them,
whole area.
we've had them study that one,
Yeah.
and yeah, recently.
Bowman Highway.
Yeah,
and
Bowman Highway.
Bio
Yeah,
Church Road and
well, unfortunately, we
Claiborne.
had death to away getting any caution lights, but
Oh, that brings up a question. What's going on up here at Junction 77? Ain't they supposed to already started that
They've
process?
already done it. It's
Huh?
already done.
they've already done all that.
No. I'm talking about
Oh, the roundabout. Last time I talked to them, the contract had been let. Now, and I was under the impression it was going to be in 2019.
I understood it's supposed to start in 2020.
2020, I could have misunderstood. Maybe they let the contract in 2019 and the
Yeah.
construction begins in 2020.
How about the road man you was talking about, Sarah John? Can
we haven't
something be
had-
added to that one?
We can add it, but we hadn't had an accident there in probably 10, 15 years.
Let's move forward with these.
The last
Got
fatality
data
was
on-
probably 38 years ago there.
Just want to bring it up.
That's
Have a
fine, I
motion by-
understand. And we'll ask them. All they can do is tell you no. I mean,
Have a motion by Commissioner Teasley, a second by Commissioner Carter, request the DOT perform some safety studies at Cokesbury Highway and Nancy Hart School Road intersection, and Elberton Highway and Nancy Hart School Road intersection. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Next item on the agenda is item 13E, revolving loan fund for RITS.
I'll tackle that one, Mr. Chairman. Hart County has been very fortunate, very, very fortunate in receiving from the Federal Economic Development Administration a substantial amount of funds to be used in our revolving loan fund. The way this works, the first project was a little bit, it was touchy because it had a lot of requirements. And this money is designed to provide for economic development that will increase jobs and employment. And we've now successfully had, Betty would be able to tell us how many, but I think it's been 6 or 7. What happens is this money, as I said, was given to the county, and this revolving loan fund was established in a dedicated account. It was then loaned out to area industries and businesses for the purpose of economic development. it then is paid back in. And as a result, and a result of the fact that we've never had one go bad and always had full payments, we have a substantial amount in the bank now. And the idea is the reason it's revolving is you keep loaning it out. And in fact, if you don't do that, the Economic Development Administration can take the money back. So we now have an opportunity to clear that account substantially. It has $340,000 at the moment, and it's been proposed that $330,000 loan be extended to Ritz Industries. We will be securing that loan by amending the UCC1 financing statement that we used last time. All the other documents will be substantially the same as the last one that you approved for Ritz. There'll be a 6% interest, and I believe the payback time is 5 years. So it's paid back pretty rapidly. And again, that particular industry has been they've been a real gem as far as repayment is concerned. It's just been like clockwork. So I'm asking that you approve that, and again, I wish I had had the documents with me here tonight, but my attention was diverted on that. So I'm asking for your approval to authorize a revolving loan fund loan to Ritz Industries in the amount of $330,000.
Can I get a motion to approve that?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Carter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Sayer. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you very
Motion
much.
carried unanimously. Item 13F, Reese Across America. We were asked to approve this. Can I get a motion that we approve it and allow them to use the courthouse?
I make that motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Teasley, second by Commissioner Carter. I'm sorry. Any more discussion? Public comment? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. That concludes our business. This time, we'll move into the public comment section. If you'd like to address the board, you'll come forward and state your name.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and for your kindness in correcting me earlier when I jumped up. Share in Walter's comment, my attention was diverted, and I was listening for the public comment word and heard it and jumped right up. The county has let me bring something to your attention so we can help close out some books here and get some things straightened out in Bowersville. The county has in its possession an open request dated July the 16th, 2019, properly submitted with the required supporting documents for SPLOSH funds reimbursement of $5,700 expense from the town of Bowersville general funds account. The legitimacy of the request is irrefutable. As a property owner, taxpayer, and registered voter in the town of Bowersville, I respectfully request the immediate reimbursement of these funds, requested funds, to allow the town to close and balance its 2019 books and to prepare an audit, an upcoming audit. The presentation of complete and accurate records to the auditor is paramount, and obtaining a fair and honest report to the people as required by law. As you're aware, the required annual audit of SPLOSH funds is also dependent upon the submission of complete and accurate records by the county. The last business days of December 2019 are fast approaching, and time is of the essence. So I'm requesting that $5,700 SPLOSH funds be reimbursed so we can close the books in Bowersville.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else for public comment? If not, can I get a motion we go into executive session for
Mr.
litigation?
Chairman, I think they deserve an answer on that. He come up here and requested, I think I need an answer, yea or no.
Think it should come from the city of Bowersville.
Well, I'm gonna have to get into this because I've been stuck in the middle of this since it started. And I've been quiet about it, but, and I'll ask the attorney to step up because you're gonna have to make this legitimate, I guess. We have an intergovernmental agreement. Am I right or am I wrong? I'm talking about with the town of Bowersville, County, and Ralston on the SPLOSH file. Okay, now that decision on that intergovernmental agreement was made in July 13th of 2017. And that was pertaining to if it passed. So it passed, so the agreement to make the payments and when they submit the invoice has already been made. And this board has no choice or no authority to say no or yea in it. Am I right or am I wrong?
It is a part of the agreement. It is within the amount set forth in that agreement for Boundersville, and it is a road project. But it is certainly within the amount of the budget, or the amount of SPLOST that's allocated to Boundersville.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gordon. The language on that ballot was stated that for, so I believe it was $72,000 for capital outlay improvements of streets and roads. I think that's almost verbatim as to what was on the ballot. What we're talking about here is the speed humps that were put down in Bowersville that caused all the controversy. Then you read these traffic studies, there's a lot of different opinions out there, but I don't consider that a capital outlay. If they had resurfaced the road and put it down, then that would be, I think, a different story.
Well,
When you go back and look at since we don't talk about it, let's put all the facts on the thing.
we'll do that.
And
Glad to
I'm
do
going
it.
to ask you, when it was voted on by the city of Bowersville, was it voted to use SPLOST money?
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I think that's a key component.
I know they turned in the invoice. Well, here's the deal. This is what I'm getting at. And nowhere in that agreement, nowhere in the law do I see that this board has any policing authority over the payment of that money. That agreement was made. It's up to the cities and municipalities to certify that that project is. And as far as I know, they have done that. And what Mr. Nolan said, it is pertinent that they have that done by December 31st. I don't think the county needs to be tied up in an audit or in a report that says we owe Bowersville money and we not paying them. And I don't think Bowersville needs to be in a position to say that the county owes them money and they're not getting their money. This board has no authority to say yea or nay on that. It's a done deal in the
So
agreement.
if this board has no authority to say yea or nay, why are we even talking about it?
Well, that's right. Why are we even talking about it? The check should have been wrote a long time ago.
Well, if you want to make that motion, go ahead.
You don't need to make a motion. It's already in the agreement.
I'll make a motion that we do not pay the SPLOST. I've
You
said
have-
that all along. It doesn't conform to the language in the ballot that we put out there. I don't feel like it was properly used as far as when the motion was made. There was no part of the discussion at all, according to the minutes, about using SPLOST. I'll put that out there as a motion that we deny that request. Is there a second?
I'll say that, Mr. Chairman, on the basis of, I do not think it qualifies as far as road improvements and what you can spend SPLOST money on.
Okay, what law are you basing that on? We have no authority to do that. None whatsoever.
There is laws that says what you can spend SPLOST money on.
That's not for us to decide. The enforcement is the town of Bowersville.
You took an oath of
certified.
office to uphold the law, did you not, Commissioner Carter?
Well, show me in the law where we got the right to withhold that money.
I
Do we
a
have that
motion.
right?
I have a motion and a
I
second.
don't care
so-
what you got. You do not have
You're
the
out of
right
order.
to it. Well, I may be out of order and I may get worse out of
No,
order.
you're not.
But
You're
the
gonna leave
fact
what
is-
you're gonna do.
The fact is, you have no right to withhold that money. I'm gonna make some points. We have this county has reimbursed,
We'll move into discussion, so you
Byron.
may have the floor to speak.
okay, we have reimbursed the town of Bowersville $23,885.66 for water projects and equipment purchase. That never come before this board, not whatsoever. We have no voting authority to deny or turn in that money in.
Okay, let me ask you something. That's a capital project, is it not?
I guess.
So do you consider a speed hump a capital project?
Well, according to what our attorney
Do
said,
you
he says
consider that? I'm asking you.
if it's roadworthy, and it's in the law, yeah.
I disagree.
That's what I say. We don't have the authority to disagree with that.
But we are the keepers of that money. We are responsible for making sure that those expenditures are handled correctly. They go through the county. The city of Hartwell is a different story. They get their money every month.
Okay, how many cities in this county have we policed with their SPLOST fund? I've never seen anything. I've never seen the payments that's been made to the town of Byron come before this board, nor have I seen any other city come before this board for approval. Do what now?
All of them.
Get into this, let me make a comment, okay? When those requests come through my office, I look at them, okay? Do they have the documentation with them? Are they for the projects, lines that are approved in the vote? If they are, is it in order? I forward them on to Betty. Betty writes the checks. I've already, one of y'all has got to sign that check with the attached paperwork to it to verify that it's proper. So yes, they all are screened as they come through. To answer your question about everybody else, everybody's treated the same. They're all screened.
But it never comes to this board for approval. You look at the documentation
I
and
do.
see.
Again,
And according to our governmental agreement, and I'll read this right here. Let me see if I'm on the right page. It says right here, county or respective municipalities are required to fulfill the terms of this agreement and in compliance with state law. The cities of Ralston, Cannon, and Bible shall furnish to the county accurate copies of all invoices, receipts, council checks, and other documents necessary to maintain the required records and annually report the same as required by OCGA 48-122. And it also says these documents shall be certified to the county by the respective city's financial officer or chief elected official. So tell me again why we have authority to confirm or deny payment to this town or any other towns.
I think what the agreement contemplates is that the county is responsible for submitting the audit to the state. The one exception is the city of Hartwell, and that was negotiated about 2 agreements ago, 2 SPLOSTs ago. The city of Hartwell, because of its ability to audit the funds, they were conferred that authority by the board. They accepted the fact that they would do the accounting, they would do the auditing, they would certify the funds to the Department of Revenue, and they would publish the advertisements in the newspaper, which are required to be published to inform the public on how money is being expended. All of the other cities, which would be Cannon, Bowersville, and Royston, they all fell within the umbrella. None of those cities asked for an independent ability to audit and account to the Department of Revenue, and the county has to do that auditing. Now, that doesn't really hit the question, but that does tell you what the county's responsibility is, and that's to audit funds and report compliance to the DOR and to publish the results.
Okay, I'm going to read the OCGA 48-122, the one that thing referred to. The governing authority of the county and the governing authority of each municipality receiving any proceeds from the tax under this part or under Article 4 of this chapter shall maintain a record of each and every project for which the proceeds of the tax are used, not later than December 31st of each year. The governing authority of each local government receiving any proceeds from the tax under this part shall publish annually in a newspaper, general circulation, in the boundaries of such government and a prominent location on the local government website. So that tells me that both governments has to report.
Well, no, it says that that has to be done, but in the agreement made on the last 2 SPLOSTs, or actually on the last 3, the responsibility for reporting was taken by the county. That's all.
Well, that ain't what that says.
I want to interject something here that I think is going to take care of all this. If you go and look at the Bowersville City Charter, it says that the mayor shall provide a capital outlay expenditures at the beginning of each year. and it has to be approved by the council. I don't think that ever happened. We got a council member here, and I don't think that happened, did it not? Okay. So, to even request it, if you're not following your own charter and you're not following your own guidelines that have been established by the enabling legislation, which was voted on by the state legislature, it's petty to even be coming here asking for that.
Well,
And if we
there
want to
again,
debate it more, I'll be more than happy to debate it more. I
it's-
got a lot more I can talk about.
it's not really our place to dictate to them how they run their city.
But they got to follow their own protocols.
Well, that's their protocol,
That's right.
it's not ours.
So
And if
until
they
that
come to-
happens, I don't see that
But
it's even,
that's getting totally out of the picture. I want to see somebody show me where we have the authority as a
we're
policing
going to vote on it here in
authority.
just a minute.
You don't have the authority to vote on it,
We got a motion and a second on the floor.
but you don't have the authority to say yea
We're
and nay.
going to vote, we'll see.
All right, and I'm going to say this too. Nowhere in the agreement or in the law have I found that the BOC has any policing or enforcement authority for compliance, nor does the county have any liability if they do not comply. OCGA 488-121, item 3 states, in the event that a qualified municipality fails to comply with the requirements in this part, the county within the special district shall not be held liable for such noncompliance. 488-124 gives the enforcement to the Superior Court. So nowhere in this agreement does it give us the authority to vote yes or no where they can do that. It's already been made. And the only way you can change this agreement is by all people that signed it and all councils. Now, am I right or wrong on that?
The only way to alter the agreement is with the affirmative vote of all of the signers.
Okay,
Yes.
then if we sit here and vote on where they get their money or not, will that not be altering this agreement?
You know, Mr. Commissioner, I really don't know. I think that the issue here is, was that expenditure a capital improvement authorized by the law? And I can tell you that regardless of what my opinion may be, that's the central issue. And there is a division of opinion within the Board of Commissioners as to whether or not it is an allowable capital expenditure or expenditure for capital improvements for roads. In cases where terms like this may not be clear, as a general rule, a court will interpret it and then make a ruling on it. I would hate to see it come to that, but I can simply tell you that there is a division of opinion among the Board of Commissioners as to whether or not it constitutes a capital improvement for road purposes, and my personal opinion doesn't really enter into it.
Well, but you hadn't answered my question. This agreement was made by all parties.
It was.
So the only way that we as a board can vote to not pay that or vote to pay it is by changing this agreement. Am I right or am I wrong on that?
Well, I'm not sure about that. I think the only way you can substantively change the agreement, not procedurally, because this is a procedural issue, but substantively to change it would require the agreement of all parties. This was something that was done, in fact, at the request of the city of Bowersville in the last SPLOST. You may remember that we had to go through the effort of holding a
Special election because the changing of the
Right.
expenditures because of the money was not going to be spent the way it was allocated
Right.
to be spent.
The way it was originally outlined in the agreement for SPLOST 4, the city's priorities changed, and when it's on the ballot as it is, and then there's a redirection of the funds, it's more than just a government, it takes more than just the approval of the government. It does require a public vote, and that's what was done. There's a countywide referendum, and the voters authorized the change.
And, you know, going back in 2017, Mayor John Bailey had a traffic study conducted. And if you read that traffic study, it said not to put speed breakers or speed humps on East Main Street. It talked about the fire department being there. It talked about some other factors. It talked about basically contradicted everything that was said by a subsequent traffic study that the city of Bowersville spent $15,000 on, and used that to justify putting 4 speed breakers down that was on an emergency services corridor to the hospital. No involvement at all, no forethought to think about, let's look at emergency services. Nobody thought about the school buses and those poor kids in the back of those buses until it started causing problems. So $15,000 more was spent on another traffic study that basically contradicted a little bit and even got a lower speed limit there. Because there's emails out there I've seen where the person who did this, ironically nicknamed Speedy, said that the speed limit had to be 25 miles, or less than 30 miles per hour, I think is what it said. I look at this as not being a capital outlay project. If the road had been resurfaced, then that's a different situation. That road is coming to pieces. SPLOST is too important to all of us to sit and use it on something that I don't feel like it should be, especially something controversial.
Well, that goes back to
opinion.
what we were talking about earlier, the speed breakers and all like it has no bearing on this. We still do not have the policing authority. This board does not have the right to deny them the claim of that money. And if you say it
your
does,
opinion.
somebody show me where it says that we can. Can I see that?
Should it have even been brought to us? No, it shouldn't have, because they didn't follow their own protocol.
That's beside the point.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. We don't have no right to dictate to them what they do in their meetings. If they come to us with a legitimate excuse, a
Nobody's done
legitimate
what they,
thing,
nobody's
then
done anything in their meetings.
it's not our idea or our place to tell them they can't do it.
Okay. Yes, ma'am, if you'll come to the podium. Come to the podium.
Okay. I'm Kelly Cagle. I'm from the Bowersville Town Council. In 2016, when I went in, I tried to find that road study that John Bailey said. There was no such thing, nothing. It was just a person who came and said what he wanted. I don't know where you get this road study. I don't. We couldn't find the road study.
It's awful funny. It was obtained through an open records request.
Maybe ours, the one we did.
No, there's two.
No,
There's two.
because Debbie and Jim could not find that road study.
We're getting way off track.
There's no first road study at all. The only road study that was done was when I got into office and I got Wilburn to come out and do that road study.
Okay. There was one before, and it's
Well, you provide me that one, because it's not down there in Bowersville at all.
I'll be happy to.
Okay. The reason for the speed bumps was to slow the people down and to take some of the road traffic, as in some of the trucks, because our roads are messing up, and the weight of the trucks is causing the roads to crumble. So all the roads, even Adams Town Road, that's messing up because all the trucks from Agstrong is going out that way too, and there's potholes everywhere. The reason for the speed is to slow the people down and get some of the truck traffic off our roads. We can take a part of some of the trucks, but not all. Most of the Floyd Farm trucks come down our direction a lot. And our road beds are not up to standard for that. Even the study said that.
Okay. All right, I have a motion and a second.
I got another question.
All right, we're going to wrap this up.
All right, we paid them for capital, what you call capital improvements, and the way it reads in there, in this agreement, it says miscellaneous capital improvements to town equipment. Now, does that mean purchasing equipment or improving the equipment?
I think we purchased a lawnmower,
Yeah, I know what they done.
that kind of equipment.
But that's not what it says right here. It don't say purchase. It says capital improvements to the town equipment.
Well, capital improvement is purchasing a new piece of equipment.
You could put a new motor on a mower.
Or you put a new motor on the oil. Both of them capital improvement.
It don't say purchase, so But I still say we don't have the authority to deny or approve or deny. And if we're going to deny them, then are we going to start having everything from every city come to us before this board to approve or deny?
We hadn't had any problems on any other cities that I know
Well,
of.
it don't matter what
And
they
until they put speed breakers down in front of our fire department, we didn't have a problem with the buyers.
Yeah.
Th-
Well, let me address Ricky's comment or question. That's more than, if y'all want that to be the procedure, I have no problem with that, bringing everyone in front of it.
Okay.
But they all go through the same checkpoint, this, that, and the other,
Now, who approves our stuff to make sure that it's up to par?
auditors in the state.
All right, so that's who approves.
We also audit theirs. The money they get goes through our auditors.
But is it certified what it's expended on?
By the documentation they send in, it certainly is.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second that we not do that reimbursement. Any more discussion? No, you've already had your chance. All in favor, raise your right hand.
I agree. You
Steve?
need to speak.
We have one opportunity to speak. We don't come back, and if you speak out again, I'm going to ask you to leave. You're out of order, okay? So I have a motion and a second that we do not pay this splost expenditure as requested. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed?
I'm not voting because we don't have the authority to vote on it.
Motion carried 3-1. Could you get a motion that we go into executive session for litigation?
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session for litigation.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.